right now we have Virginia Newcomb. She plays Iris in the film, in the play.
Someday, maybe.
Someday. See, it was prophetic.
That's right.
Just putting it into motion. But you play Iris.
Correct.
And we've been talking about the arc of this play and the main characters, this young man who's on the spectrum, and he is, quote unquote, able to pass at times.
Right.
Iris, not so much. She's more profoundly affected.
And yeah, lower functioning, if you will. And we've kind of understood that her mother just had less resources. You know, she lives in an apartment by herself, so everything she's learned on her own. She's highly intelligent, so the juxtaposition between her physical life and her mental life is vastly different.
Yes, which, as we know, many of our young people on the spectrum, you can't assume non-intelligence because there's not verbal ability.
She's extremely intelligent, and most of what I play, 70% of what I play, is voiceover. So we get to experience Iris's inner world while also watching this difference.
And Iris has started this online presence. Tell us a little bit about what her deal is.
It's kind of it's gaming world. It's like a fantasy, online interactive fantasy world, and what she has of it initially in the beginning of the play is just a rudimentary blog, and so she hires Mac to help her do the graphics for it, and that's where they're online.
That's how they actually get to meet.
Right.
Yeah.
And she takes a big step and a big, leap to invite him over too. So that's a big point in the play.
But the disparity between where they are on the spectrum is not apparent until he actually meets her.
Yeah, well, in their individual worlds it is, but their relationship and how they relate to other people isn't until we see them together.
Okay.
And we showed the clip from the play. Within it, there's a moment that was very provocative to me, where your character is talking to the mom of the young man, and taking a very accusatory tone and saying, if you could give him a pill,
this, would you? Yeah.
And take away his autism, you wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And it is that in a very accusatory tone.
Right. It's almost a challenge because she would.
And Iris is, Iris represents the activism community of autism, which I had no idea how prevalent it was until I started researching this. And it's really amazing. I mean, there are blogs, there's countless examples of people stating that belief. This is the way I am. I want to be this way. And even and I think that's why it is impactful with Iris, is even as physically rendered as she is, she still is proud of who she is.
Absolutely.
She, of course, has her own vulnerabilities and insecurities, like everyone does. But that's her statement. That's her soapbox.
Her attitude is the world needs to adjust to me more than I need to adjust to the world.
Right.
And that's a provocative question given how prevalent autism has become. 1 in 88 and now 1 in 50 according to parent surveys. So, this is maybe something as a culture we have to look at, and certainly our education, our workforce needs to look at ways of accepting some of those differences. Clearly.
Well, and maybe just because of working on this character, but my belief system is that it relates to humanity. It relates to how we view people on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I feel like that's what this character and what this play gives people the opportunity to open their minds to something different than themselves. And it's, I think, for a lot of people, uncomfortable to watch the character of Iris in the same way that it's uncomfortable to watch anyone with a disability or a difference. And so, and it's been, it's been a constant challenge for me to just keeping it out there, not worry about what people think, not worry about, making people uncomfortable, because that's life. And when we get uncomfortable life, we can turn away in the theater, like, look, take it in.
There. How did you prepare for the role? How did you research it?
In a lot of different ways. Iris is kind of a mix of a bunch of things. We observed at the help group. We got to watch. Dan and I, which I'm glad he didn't mention because I get to, we got to go to a Valentine's Day dance.
Yes.
Which was invaluable. It was really beautiful, and he and I both had the same feeling when we walked in, that the sense of freedom in a really interesting way, because there's less judgment. There's the same kind of teenage cliquey stuff, but there's a freedom. They're doing their own thing, and they're not as they're not as worried about it, or does at least seemingly to my neurotypical brain.
No,
so this was a Valentine's dance that was just individuals on the spectrum?
Yes, and
interesting.
Yeah, it was really amazing. So that was kind of an entry into it, and then a lot of research online. Then some just, actory things, like I studied some animals, like a wild horse and a bird, and I've got 50 different things going on. And when I go on stage too, with a lot of characters, I feel like the character takes me on, but with Iris, I feel like she comes in and we're kind of doing it together. It's like and I think that kind of helps me relate to the feeling of what it must be like to have those dueling abilities too, of having that high intelligence and different physical life is that I have. Iris is kind of helping me through it as opposed to taking me over.
When you auditioned for this role, at what point did you hear that the role had been originated by a young woman who's actually on the spectrum? And was that intimidating to you? It
was actually during the audition process, because in researching it, that was the only production that was done, so it was a big part of their publicity for it. So I had learned that, but I have a little bit of experience, not with autism, but with other disabilities in my family. So being able to, having the opportunity to express that understanding and being able to kind of use those things that I had knowledge of has been something I feel like I've been searching for a while. Awesome. So it was the right thing for me at the right time.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the feedback you've gotten from viewers. People have seen it either that are not on the spectrum or are on the spectrum.
People have been responding really well. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be one person out there somewhere that believes that we're not doing it right, but we've had maybe not. Well, hopefully so. We want to reach everyone. We want to bother people as much as we want to.
There you go.
But yeah, we've had a lot of people approach us, and I mean, in tears, just saying how much they relate to what we're doing, and
awesome.
It's the most validation we can have is people with that kind of personal experience being able to communicate that is. I mean, that's why we're doing this. So yeah.
And this is sort of a new frontier for a lot of us as parents, as our children start to get older. They don't stay little forever.
Right.
And it's one thing dealing with a cute little toddler or kindergartner with autism. It's quite another when that child grows up and has to go out there in the world and function. Yeah. And we're really on the cusp of a lot of those changes, and it sounds like this play kind of reflects that sensibility.
And I feel like that's a universal thing too. I mean, I know in different ways for autism, but I mean, mother to or parent to child relationship and kind of accepting that change and going out into the world, it has to be something that we all relate to too on just a human level, so, as much as the love theme is, so we hope that if it can resonate with the autistic community, that's fantastic. But what we're finding is that it resonates with everyone, and that's the universal aspect of it. So.
Well, such a pleasure to meet all of you. We're so excited about this project.
We really are, and we hope it just has great success and moves on from Los Angeles to other cities.
Absolutely.
And
be a movie.
There you go.
Predicted.
I called it first.
Sounds like some great things in store for all of you. You're all very, very talented.
Thank you.
Yes.
And
we look forward to you seeing it.
Okay, I look forward to being there.
All right.
All right.